up everyone, welcome back to Brad's Bioactive Builds, where I do step-by-step, do-it-yourself, naturalistic animal enclosures. This is going to be a bonus video on how I built this enclosure right here. If you're looking for a more step-by-step tutorial, make sure to check out the 6-part series. I'll go ahead and link the playlist at the end of this video. But let's get into this 252-day project. Put together the blueprints for this build, built out the bottom base, applied spray foam and XPS board to keep it away from the cool floor during the winter months, and help regulate temperatures on the inside of the enclosure. Secured my studs to the side, screwed down 1/2-inch PVC board to the left and right side. Made some cuts for the back panel of the enclosure, then laid down some silicone before installing the back panel to the enclosure, and secured it into place. Added a 2x6 for a header, placed on the top of the enclosure, and buttoned it down. Siliconed and then slid into place the bottom panel. Built out the bottom dam, tapping it into place, then screwed it down. Screwed in some studs for the front wall, pulled some measurements, and installed my PVC board. And finished wrapping the inside of the dam. Built out some support for the water tub. Secured the 2-inch PVC pipe into place. Using a PVC union as a quick release coming out of the back of the enclosure, with a gate valve attached to that, connected to a 90-degree PVC elbow that will go to my exterior tub. This is for when the inside tub is full of water and I want to do a water change. It makes for easy drainage. Unhinge the gate valves and the water goes through a straining process, filtering through all the animal's waste. The water will exit this tub, flow through a PVC pipe, and dump right into my sump pump. Then shoots right out of the house for easy maintenance, cleanup, and water changes. To maximize space, I'll be converting the under area of the tub to a hide. First I blacked it out, cut some board, and drew out my pattern for the entrance. Used the jigsaw to cut out my pattern, went ahead and installed it. Cut 2-inch XPS board to use for the background. Got all my pieces pre-cut, went ahead and test fitted it, and then installed it with silicone to the enclosure. Cut a strip of PVC board so my XPS background has something to tie into, along with creating a guard for the glass so my reptile doesn't break out. Applied spray foam around the water tub and misted it with water so it would cure quicker. Used spray foam to attach my ledges. For the drip wall, I cut a 3-inch hole for my plumbing to fit through. Used silicone so I can attach the reservoir to the back wall. Used a wire brush to taper down to the reservoir so the water would flow fluently. Drilled a hole to fit my PVC pipe. That will act as the output for my waterfall. Behind the enclosure, I have a 5-gallon bucket that will house my water pump. So basically, the water will exit the reservoir through this hose here into the 5-gallon bucket, go through the pump and travel up this hose to the top of the waterfall. To do some water tests, I laid down Lexil adhesive and covered that in dry lock. Wrapped the reservoir with XPS board, held it into place, and then gave it a test run to make sure it was flowing how I wanted it to. With the drip wall working as intended, I continued building out the hardscape. Using a hot knife to add some character and detail to the rock ledges. Along with other accent pieces, before carving out the background. using a heat gun to tighten everything up. To add a more custom finish to the hide entrance, I used spray foam to build that out. And carved away, using a game changer product, Polygem Zoopoxy. It's a super user-friendly putty epoxy that you just press right into the wall. Use a sea sponge to add definition and character and a more realistic look. Attach a front cap to the drip wall and waterproof the inside of the reservoir. To have nice clean lines, I added painter's tape. I just had to act quick before it hardened and cured. Then detailed it in like before. Honey did her inspection and she approved. So I taped off and protected the ceiling and got ready to paint on dry lock. Started with my darkest tones first to create shadows in the crevice. Then dry brushing my darkest to lightest tones. This is probably the easiest part of the whole build, but it really brings their vision to life. Side note, I'm not using dry lock to waterproof anything. Zoopoxy does an amazing job all on its own. I'm simply using it for cosmetic reasons only. Hold down the protective paper barrier and remove the tape. Installed the PVC pipe for the drip wall. And did a final test run for the drip wall to make sure it was running as planned. Now that the interior hardscape is complete, I can start cutting out the holes for my lights. To do this, I cut it out with a jigsaw, lining it up with my ledges to hit my target zone for my basking spots. Here's a quick diagram on how the light setup is going to work. To make some light trim that'll go on the inside of the enclosure, I traced out my light fixture as a template. Used 1/8" chicken wire and attached it with hot glue. With hot glue, I did a temporary hole to the top of the ceiling, then screwed it down in a star pattern. I like installing lights this way because it allows for maximum space inside the enclosure, while having a snug fit so it doesn't move after being put in its place. Onto my Arcadia T5 UVB. Cut 45-degree PVC brackets to attach my Arcadia Jungle Dawn. And then link the two fixtures together. Drilled some holes for the mistking nozzles and put them in their place. Hopped up on top of the enclosure to connect my lines. I had to use a few 90-degree elbows to work around the center DP projector light. Gave him a test run. Now for the fogger, I used 1/2" bulkheads, drilled a hole in the ceiling, secured them into place using painter's tape, and installed PVC pipe into the bulkheads that will dump fog into the enclosure. Attached the hose that connects to the fogger, filled it up with distilled water, drilled some holes to fit my custom DIY 40mm fans hooked up to a mistking nozzle. I'll link a card in the top right corner now on how I built these. Set up all my electrical to Go Smart Plug so I can operate everything right from an app on my phone. I'll be adding a heat mat for when the enclosure is finished for the winter months. Set up right to a thermostat that'll kick on at my desired temperature. Since I use Quikrete with my dry lock, I'll be rinsing everything down and also making sure that the hide is diverting water away from the inside and doing a water test for 72 hours to check for leaks. To build out the frame for the false bottom, I used PVC trim board. Fused it together, Made some cuts to fit around the hide entrance. Cut out some notches for the center cross frame so water can flow through easily. Fuse them all together. And watch the water channel through each section with ease. Drilled a hole for my bulkhead so I can drain the excess water, and fused it in. This will connect to a ball shutoff valve for easy maintenance. Primed and painted parts of the enclosure. Laid down a thin bead of PL3X to the glass track. When measuring for the glass panels, simply take a piece of the cutoff of the glass track and a measurement for your front opening and give it to the glass company. They'll do the rest. Ripped and painted black some plywood so I can start preparing for the pocket door for the sliding glass doors. Screwed it into place. Finished off the front of the bottom outside dam. Applied wood glue to the corner trim so I can wrap and finish off the front viewing window. Then hammered down some trim nails. Smeared all my screw holes with wood putty. Then sanded them down. And then finished painting the outside of the enclosure. Got a few bags of Hydroton clay balls, filled them up with water, and poked holes in the bottom so it would drain out, filtering all the dust, and poured them into the enclosure for my drainage layer. Laid down some weed barrier over the hole for the drainage, and took a 2-inch PVC end cap for extra support for the weight that'll be going above. Applied weed barrier over the clay balls, stapled it down right onto the PVC trim board so it would hold it into place. Drilled out a bunch of holes into the PVC board that's going to act as my subfloor for this build. This might be overkill, but I didn't want my reptile digging through the weed barrier, separating the drainage layer and the substrate. Screwed it down into place using stainless steel panhead screws. Caulked the gap between the glass track and the corner trim. Smeared it flush with my finger. And pulled the tape. Set in my 1/4 inch tempered glass. Pressed down the glass handles. And tested it out, sliding it into the pocket door. I'm really happy how this came out for cleaning, maintenance, and viewing purposes. It really just opens everything up, feeling like there's no barriers between you and the enclosure. For reference, the opening is about 5 foot, each glass panel is about 2.5, and the pocket door is about 3 foot, so it can just slide right in. Got 15 bags of topsoil, 6 bags of play sand, and other assorted substrates. I first started out with play sand, rubbing it into all the holes, so it would have less resistance when water would have passed through. Mixed up all my substrates, added it into the enclosure. Used hydro balls for the inside of the reservoir to make it lightweight. And topped it off with rocks. Knocked off all the old substrate from the plants and washed them off. Started planting away. Gave it a good soak to rehydrate everything. Spread out sphagnum moss. Sprinkled in leaf litter. Some cork bark for larger accent pieces. A broken tree stump that would stick right out of the ground. And added seed pods, nut pods, and different types of botanicals for my smaller accent pieces. I've always enjoyed nature and animals, so no better way of showing my appreciation than creating something to the best of my ability while caring for them. The drip wall waterfall, misting system, fogger, fans for air circulation really bring this ecosystem to life, down to the smallest isopod exploring new terrain, or new growth of a leaf that capture the essence of this habitat. All of my builds start out as an idea that organically evolved into its own design. But much like the natural world, it takes its own course, creating something better than I could have planned. With a hide to call home, a pond to soak, multiple basking spots to store heat, and ledges to thermal-regulate. My hopes is my pet reptile enjoys his kingdom for years to come. My aspiration is others will receive inspiration from this build, forging something better than I can, pushing this hobby to the next level. So if you build something like this, do me the favor, have fun, enjoy the process, and don't stop until your vision is complete. If you made it this far in the video, please consider like, commenting, and subscribing. It helps this channel grow more than you know. I also want to give a huge shout out to my Patreons. Your added support is super appreciated. This project gave me some pretty cool ideas for another series I have planned for the future. But to check out the 6-part series of this build, check out this playlist right up here. For any updates on this enclosure, check it out right there. For any other videos you might like, check it out right here. Thanks for watching.